What do you mean by a cancellation? I was making a call during lunch break at work and accidentally raised my voice, so I hurriedly quieted down. I didn't go through with any procedure like that. Why? How come? My mind went blank. The woman from the insurance company was the epitome of calm, in stark contrast to me. According to our records, we received a cancellation request from you, and the procedure has already been completed. The insurance I had signed up for was a savings-type life insurance. My sister-in-law, Emily, was an insurance agent and had begged me to sign up for a policy that was pricier than the market rate because she had strict quotas to meet. I'm Sophia, a 40-year-old office worker. I live in an apartment with my husband and daughter. It has been quite a day from the start. My husband, Kevin, announced he had an overnight business trip as soon as he woke up and started packing, while my daughter began to fuss, saying, "I can't find my math textbook." Madison, my daughter, is only in the first grade, so it's understandable that she requires a lot of attention. But I really wish Kevin wouldn't add hassle with things like, "Where's my travel bag?" or "Where are my new socks?" It's been a rough year with Kevin. I've been contemplating divorce, which only adds to my frustration. Why can't both of you prepare the day before? When I expressed my disbelief, Madison sincerely apologized, "Sorry, Mom. I'll be more careful next time." So, I was able to respond, "No, it's okay. I should have checked with you yesterday, my bad." But Kevin is a different story. Madison is still young. If you had prepared everything, this wouldn't have happened. Besides, you should have been considerate enough to buy new socks for my trip. His biting remarks really got under my skin. I had no idea about your business trip schedule. Aren't the socks I washed and put in the drawer good enough? I prefer new socks for my trips. What a peculiar preference. I thought to myself but didn't say it out loud. His overnight business trips are rare, maybe once every few months. It must have been scheduled by his company well in advance, even if he didn't mention it. If he needed new socks, he should buy them with his own money or tell me well in advance. Seeing my daughter's tearful face pleading, "Daddy, Mommy, please stop fighting," I turned to her. "Madison, I'm sorry. It's okay. Let's look for it together, quickly." Kevin silently resumed his packing, and I started checking the backpack with my daughter. Glancing at Kevin, I noticed he was packing casual clothes he'd wear on a weekend, not the usual business trip attire. Could this be another affair? It struck me as suspicious. He has cheated twice before. The first time was right before our daughter was born. I considered divorce, but Kevin tearfully apologized. Furthermore, he sought help from his parents to convince me. My mother-in-law pleaded with me, "Please don't divorce my son." My sister-in-law also made a fuss saying, "Please don't abandon my brother," which made me reconsider the divorce. But last year, Kevin cheated for the second time. Just like the first time, he got involved with a girl he met on a dating site. Kevin is the type to speak his mind bluntly, and his actions are quite transparent. He thinks he's being sneaky, but from my perspective, it's almost laughable how obvious he is. He was quickly found out, and then he apologized again, crying. It's pathetic to see him, usually so arrogant, reduced to tears and sniffling. I told him, "If you cause any more trouble, we're definitely getting a divorce," and I made him fill out the divorce papers. Transferred all our savings to my account, and forgave him, but my love for him had completely vanished. He always puts himself first. I can't stand that he doesn't take care of or play with Madison, but I'm thinking of putting up with the divorce until she's a bit older. In the end, the math textbook was easily found in the backpack. Madison left happily, but I was drained from the morning's events. Since I didn't have time to make lunch, I went to a shop near the office during my break. That's when I saw an ad for the insurance company and remembered that my policy was supposed to pay out a bonus after a certain period. It should be deposited around this time. Paying a high premium every month, I need these little joys to keep going. What should I spend the money on when it comes in? It might be nice to buy some new autumn clothes for Madison. I started feeling excited. With a lighter step, I stopped by the bank to check my bank statement and noticed that not only was there no bonus, but this month's insurance premium hadn't been deducted either. Huh? That's strange. Isn't there no deduction in the month we received the bonus? Initially, I was just puzzled, but remembering the morning's packing incident with Kevin, I got a bad feeling and called the insurance company. Turns out my sister-in-law was off that day. Another lady handled my call, and that's how the cancellation came to light. They said the cancellation payment had already been made, but I haven't received any money in my account. The lady on the phone kept saying that all the paperwork was in order and that the insurance company had followed proper procedures. It's a big issue if someone cancels without the owner's consent. And it seemed like they were indirectly saying it wasn't the insurance company's fault. I'll say this clearly one more time, I had no intention of canceling. I'll check with Emily and my husband. But please make sure to verify with her on your end as well. I made my point strongly and hung up. Before I knew it, my lunch break was almost over, and I no longer had time to eat the lunch I bought, nor did I have the appetite, as other concerns had arisen. When I told my boss I'd like to leave early today, I quickly wrapped up the remaining work. I left the office earlier than usual and immediately called Kevin. If he was truly on a business trip and busy, I couldn't help it. Sophia? Why are you calling? I'm at work. Kevin picked up after a few rings, sounding irritated, yet I could hear lively music in the background. Why does he think he won't get caught? Ridiculous. Sorry about that. Hey, my life insurance was canceled without my knowledge, and there's no cancellation payment. Do you know anything about this? I'm thinking of consulting the police, as it might be some scam. Huh? What are you thinking, calling the police? It was me. I had suspected it was Kevin and Emily's doing, so when I exaggerated a bit, he was taken aback and quickly confessed. While I had my suspicions, my anger flared up. Oh, so it was you. Where's the cancellation payment then? I used it to help Mom out. Help out? Did something happen to your mother that she suddenly needed money? No, she just said she wanted to go on a family trip for once. A trip? I was shocked by his unexpected response. You canceled my life insurance for that? To use it for a trip? Was the business trip a lie? Yeah. I'm the beneficiary, so no complaints, right? We're all staying at a top-notch hotel. I'm in the lobby right now. And you wouldn't believe the size of the chandelier here. Maybe he thought it was okay, since he got caught. Kevin bragged excitedly. What's that about? I have complaints, plenty of them. Why would you cancel it without telling me? I've been paying the premiums from my own salary. You should be able to cover your own trip expenses. Ah, so annoying. But it's the money I'd get if something happened to you, right? So it's my money. You're healthy and not going to kick the bucket anytime soon. We can just start paying again. I couldn't understand Kevin's reasoning at all. But the terms change as you get older, and the premiums get higher. Do you really not understand that? Well, I'm not the one paying for it. Kevin's irresponsible words gave me a headache. Do your parents know about this? That you canceled my life insurance without telling me? Didn't your father say anything? Oh. And Emily is in on this too, right? You and Emily forged my signature, didn't you? Well, yeah. Mom and Dad were happy about it, thought it was a good idea. It's your fault for holding on to all our money. I just wanted to have a blast for once. It's not a big deal. We're on a family trip, and everyone's happy. That a family includes your parents and Emily, right? Why aren't Madison and I included? Aren't we your family? Insurance is for emergencies. And it's much happier not to use it. Shouldn't you have consulted me first if you wanted to use it for a trip? You would have said no for sure. You and Madison are together all the time anyway. It's fine for me to be with my real family once in a while. Plus, Emily wanted to sign you up for a new life insurance policy, so it's killing two birds with one stone. For you guys, maybe. Can't believe you. Aren't you embarrassed to make excuses like a child, saying you didn't tell me because I would say no? That's why I didn't want to tell you, because you get angry. So annoying. If you're going to keep nagging, I might as well divorce you. You wouldn't do it anyway. Is he feeling emboldened because he's at a tourist spot? Kevin was bolder than usual. Understood. I hung up the phone. Be prepared. I'll take my revenge on Kevin and his family thoroughly. I muttered to myself. My patience has run out. Kevin took me for granted because I always forgave him despite saying I would divorce him. I used to think my in-laws were decent people, and even though Emily pushed expensive life insurance on me, I believed she wasn't a bad person. But decent people wouldn't secretly cancel their daughter-in-law's life insurance and spend it. Like husband, like family. I'll cut ties with all of them. I headed straight to visit the lawyer. I always kept the divorce papers Kevin filled out in my bag as a talisman. I immediately filed for divorce, then picked up Madison from after-school care, and on the way home, I told her about the divorce. She was surprised, but she understood after I explained carefully. When we got home, she asked, "So, Daddy isn't coming home anymore?" "He won't be home tonight because he's staying over somewhere. We're getting divorced, so we'll be living separately. But there's still a lot to prepare." I answered her question cautiously, not fully understanding her intent. "Then let's start cleaning up now. Quick." "What's wrong?" "But we're separated from Dad, right?" "Mom, you don't have to cry anymore." "I hate it because Dad always makes you mad." "Madison, did you always say a stop fighting because you were worried about me being sad?" "Of course. I was planning not to divorce for my daughter's sake, but it seems she had been holding back all this time. The reason she intervened in the fights was just because she was worried about me. Daddy never plays with me even on his days off, and when I try to talk to him, he just says, 'Be quiet, go away.' Like this morning. He only uses me to say mean things to you. I've been so sad." "I love you, Mom." She smiled at me. Her smile warmed up my heart. Madison had seen through Kevin's selfishness, preferring himself over her, and she was fed up with him too. Finding out Madison's true feelings in this way is so sad that it brings tears to my eyes. "I see. I'm sorry for making you go through tough times, Madison. From now on, it's just the two of us, but I'll take good care of you. I really love you too." Yay! I vowed never to let Madison feel sad again. While Madison did her homework by my side, I busily engaged in tasks such as consulting a lawyer, searching online for real estate agents and moving companies. Then, I contacted my parents. When I explained the situation, my parents also said, "Come back home right away." This way, Madison wouldn't have to change schools. Moreover, my father said he could borrow a truck from an acquaintance and help move our things in the morning. I informed the landlord, the school, and the families in the same school commuting group that we would be commuting from my parents' house from now on, and briefly explained the situation. I decided to take care of the detailed paperwork for the school later on and called my workplace to take a day off tomorrow. I wanted to finish most of the things before my husband returned. The next day, my parents came over, and we swiftly moved our belongings to their home. Everything was done before my husband returned, leaving only his belongings in the apartment. I left a note saying, "We are divorced. We are strangers now," and left the apartment. Kevin must have been shocked to find us gone. Serves him right. I felt refreshed imagining his reaction. The reason I could prepare for the divorce so smoothly this time was that I had researched the necessary procedures and preparations during his previous affair. I had told him, next time, there will be no discussion, we're getting divorced. And we had agreed that I would have custody and all the marital assets. Thus, Madison and I started a new life at my parents' home. Later, my frantic mother-in-law called me. She probably reached out because I had blocked my husband's number. Given that my husband tends to cry easily despite his bluster, he might be sobbing away. "What are you thinking? Divorcing my son when he hasn't cheated?" She yelled so loudly that it hurt my ears, and I instinctively moved the phone away from me. "Hey, Sophia. It's not too late, apologize to my son now. He's been crying nonstop because he's hurt. Aren't you embarrassed to make such a fuss over this? Apologize? Me? Why?" I was so baffled by her words that I blurted out, "Who are you?" My mother-in-law probably didn't expect such a response from me. Her words abruptly stopped. I was surprised by my own response. Well, yeah, it's me, your mother-in-law. Come on, Sophia, what's wrong with you? You're not senile, are you? You're still young. No, I only have one mother. Are you some kind of scam, like hi, it's me a phone scam, not giving your full name? I decided to go along with my earlier slip-up. Since we were divorced and strangers now, and they were the type to cancel life insurance without permission, I figured there was no point in having a serious conversation. Don't joke around, Sophia. If you're going to act like this, we have our ways too. As expected, my mother-in-law was furious. But I didn't care. What ways are you talking about? What can you possibly do? We had agreed that if there was another issue, we would divorce immediately. And he told me over the phone that he wanted a divorce, didn't he? My words made her falter. I seized the moment to press further. You should have consulted me that you wanted to go on a trip. Why commit a crime? Did all of you want to go to jail? Unauthorized cancellation of life insurance could be considered forgery of a private document, punishable by imprisonment. I'm prepared to fight this thoroughly. I hadn't heard of any financial troubles in Kevin's family, so they might have done this on a whim. But that's exactly why I couldn't forgive them. What? Wait a minute. We can't be criminals. Please, I'm sorry. Let's talk. Shocked by the mention of imprisonment, my mother-in-law suddenly changed her tone, but it was too late. I hung up the phone and blocked my in-laws' numbers. Later, I heard that Kevin was so shocked by the divorce that he quit his job and became a recluse. Regarding the life insurance, we settled the matter through the out-of-court settlement system for insurance disputes. My sister-in-law was fired from the insurance company, even making minor news. Because of this, my in-laws became the talk of the neighborhood and were criticized by relatives for lacking common sense and being shameful, making them feel isolated. Since both Kevin and sister-in-law couldn't work, they seemed to be in financial trouble. Meanwhile, Madison and I are living freely and happily at my parents' home. As much as I caused my daughter trouble, I want to raise her with lots of love from now on. Come back, I'll forgive you. Such a foolish man to say something so condescending. What is this man misunderstanding? I will never forgive him who dragged me down to the depths of hell. I am Jennifer. A perfectly ordinary housewife, turning 44 this year. Despite being busy with household chores and work every day, I'm fairly content. It's been nearly 20 years since I married George. Looking back, we've been through a lot. I was reflecting on my married life. Right after we got married, George's father passed away, and I remember being pretty busy for the funeral. Struggling to communicate with a difficult mother-in-law. Building our home. And then, undergoing fertility treatments. We didn't have children. Of course, we wanted them and we were trying. However, due to issues with both of us, we were not blessed with children, and after discussions, we decided to live our lives just the two of us. It would be a lie to say we don't feel lonely, but I have George. Having him has been a great support for me. I'm home. What's for dinner tonight? Tonight, it's grilled salmon. Found some nice fish at the store. Oh, sounds delicious. And George sits at the dinner table. This is great. Your cooking is the best, Jennifer. Really? I'm glad. Yeah, I'm really happy we are together. George said this, looking very satisfied. I'm also glad I married him. After all, I'm this happy. Speaking of which, my colleague at work is having their third child soon. As I was clearing the table, George mentioned it casually. Is that so? We'll have to prepare a gift then. Sorry to always make you do this. It's fine. It's part of being a wife. Nothing seemed unusual at that moment. But maybe George had already started to change by then. One day. There's a baby shower at my colleague's house this weekend, so I'll be going. All right, take care. Don't drink too much. Sure. And so, I sent him off on the weekend. A rare day off by myself. With all the household chores and cleaning done, what to do? Maybe I should go see a movie by myself. With that thought, I started getting ready. Then, the phone rang loudly. Hello? Jennifer? Is George there? It was my mother-in-law on the phone. George is out right now. Oh, where to? He's going to his colleague's baby shower. As I said, she was silent for a bit. Then, with a sigh, she said, "You know, Jennifer, I don't like to say things like this, but it's hard for George too." What? To celebrate the birth of someone else's child when he can't have his own? He's such a kind soul. That's why you should listen to everything he says. All right? The phone was abruptly hung up. What was she really trying to say? My mother-in-law and I haven't had a great relationship since the beginning of my marriage. The final straw was probably our decision not to have children. A woman's worth is in bearing children, isn't it? Unbelievable. What did you marry George for? I've been told such things. Of course, it wasn't just my fault since both George and I had issues. But she probably doesn't want to admit that her son is part of the infertility problem. Oh well. However, she only calls like this occasionally and doesn't come over to the house. The frequency of these calls is maybe once a month, if that. I just have to bear it and let it go during those times. I wasn't too bothered and was quite laid back about it. I'm home. That day, George, who seemed to have had quite a bit to drink, came back around 7 p.m. "Hi, you seem quite drunk." "Yeah, somewhat." Usually, George becomes cheerful when drunk, but today he seemed off. He looked down, or perhaps he was deep in thought. I handed him a glass of water as he sat on the sofa. "Are you okay?" "Yeah, thanks." He took and drank it all in one go. I saw the baby. So cute. Is that so? That's nice. Honestly, I'm still not used to hearing about children from George. We wanted them but couldn't have them. Every time we face reality, it feels like a thorn in my heart pricks me. I wonder if there's still hope for us. George slurred such words. What do you mean? By the time I managed to get the words out, he had already laid down on the sofa. What did he mean by that? Could it be he wants children? My mind was racing with various thoughts. He must have thought that temporarily after seeing the baby up close. Why take a drunkard's words seriously? I tried to calm myself down by thinking this way. But from that day on, George's behavior started to change. "Hey, tonight's dinner is your favorite pepper steak." "Oh, is that so?" Usually, George would be thrilled, but his response was unusually tepid. Maybe he's tired from work. Maybe it's best not to pry too much at times like this. I decided to quietly watch over him. However, after a while, when I said, "Hey, I want to go shopping this weekend, could you drive me?" "That's a waste of gas. Just go by yourself." But, carrying heavy things alone can be really tough. He clicked his tongue and said, "What a hassle." He would never normally speak like this. His sudden change left me bewildered. "Hey, the food today is terrible. If you're at home, at least do some cleaning. Don't talk to me." George began to say things like this. Could he have developed some illness? I heard that personality can change with a brain tumor. I considered taking him to the hospital. But before I could act on it, he said something unbelievable. "You want a divorce?" "Yeah. I want to start my life over." "But why all of a sudden?" "It's not sudden. I've been thinking about it for a long time. I'm 42 this year. There's still time for me." "Time for what?" "You don't get it. It's my last chance to have my own child. Since you can't have any, it can't be helped. I still have a chance." Then he had his mother, who he must have called over in advance, sat beside him. She chimed in. "Do you understand your position? Why won't you step aside on your own?" "So that's it. I'm no longer needed because I can't have children. And that's why I'm being discarded." Realizing this made me feel like I was thrown into an abyss. Without saying a word, tears flowed, and I just sat there silently. My mother-in-law had a triumphant look on her face. Perhaps a daughter-in-law who couldn't have children was never wanted from the beginning. George will bring home a young and beautiful wife. Of course, to have children with her. It would have been better if she had pointed out my flaws. Then I could see room for improvement. But there's nothing I can do about having children. Faced with such words, what choice did I have but to agree to the divorce? Why? We had been a happy couple until now. I dedicated myself to my husband, determined to live my life with him. But was that just my own wishful thinking? I felt empty and sad, with nothing to do but cry. Think of this as your last kindness, sign the divorce papers. Kindness. Perhaps it was kind to let him go if he wanted children that badly. Or are you going to ruin my life with your selfishness? Because of my selfishness. Faced with such words, I had no choice but to sign. My mother-in-law's satisfied face further gouged my heart. And then George mercilessly kicked me out. After 20 years of marriage, such treatment was too much to bear. After the divorce, I was like a shell of myself, and my parents were deeply worried. But the feeling of being betrayed and abandoned by the one I loved never faded. I spent my days crying. Maybe when tomorrow comes, I'll be back to my old life. Maybe tomorrow, he'll tell me it was all a lie. That's all I could think about. But worried about me, my friend Maggie came to visit. Jennifer, you can't let that man beat you down. You've been a good wife all along, Maggie said. Maggie has been one of my few friends who kept in touch from the beginning of my marriage until now. She's a strong and kind woman who always praised and encouraged me. I always received strength from her. In this world, there are as many men as there are stars. I won't forgive you if you don't find happiness. Encouraged by her words, I gradually began to regain my spirits. Before getting married, I worked in accounting. Despite a gap of nearly 20 years, I was able to find a job thanks to Maggie's introduction. Continuing my studies and obtaining qualifications even after marriage paid off. Interacting with others and working took my mind off things. I was enjoying my life every day. All thanks to you, Maggie. My parents seemed relieved to see me back on my feet. 5 years had passed since then. On my way home from work, I encountered a person. It's been a while. And you are? Don't be cold, it's me. You haven't forgotten, have you? What does he want now, after all this time? And he's brought his mother along. Were you waiting for me? I had no choice. I don't know where your new home or workplace is. I thought I might run into you if I walked near your parents' house. It felt eerie. What do you want? I've brought you a good offer. George is really kind, you know. You should be grateful, said the smiling my ex-mother-in-law. Her smile made me uncomfortable. I checked the time on my watch. I'm in a hurry. I told you I've brought you a good offer. Listen up. Let's not talk here, let's go into that cafe. I was forcibly taken to the cafe. You can come back if you want. George suddenly said something absurd. His mother smiled beside him. What kind of joke is this? You cried so much, refusing the divorce. I've thought a lot about it. I couldn't leave you alone, feeling sorry for you. Come back to my side. George said. I almost burst out laughing at my ex-husband's words. No, I can't laugh yet. I looked down to hide my laughter. Did they mistake my reaction for cherishing their words? They kept talking to me. I've thought about you all these 5 years. You felt the same, didn't you? You couldn't forget, right? Even after the divorce, George cared about you and waited without remarrying, his mother added. So, he couldn't remarry, after all. If you come back, there are things I want you to do. You'll be more comfortable that way, he said. It seems this is the main topic. I asked, showing interest. What do you want me to do? It's about my mother-in-law, George's grandmother. She's become senile recently, and it's been tough, she explained. I see, that's what it was all about. Come back right now, I love you. I couldn't hold it in any longer. I burst out laughing uncontrollably. The two of them looked at me in astonishment. Are you that happy? Then, Jennifer. Come to our house from today. Both of you, please keep the jokes to your faces. I said coldly, looking down at them. Who would return to be a slave now? You didn't stay unmarried by choice, you just couldn't remarry, right? How could you think I still love you after such a terrible breakup? Give me a break. I placed money for my coffee on the table and was about to leave the cafe. Then, a girl walked into the cafe. I'm back. The girl ran into my arms. Sophie. Welcome back. What's going on? I saw you from outside, Mom. The girl started talking to me with a big smile. George and his mother looked on in astonishment. Mom, what's for dinner today? What should we have, hamburgers?
Yay!
I love hamburgers. George looked back and forth between me and Sophie, his mouth trembling. Mom? What? What do you mean? Are you remarried? Yes, I am. Oh. Didn't you know? Of course, he wouldn't know, because I didn't tell him. My neighbors were sworn to secrecy about my current situation, so they probably didn't get any information. It's a lie. It's a lie. You were so against leaving me. George was muttering to himself, head in his hands, saying it was a lie. Hey, how many years ago do you think you're talking about? It's been 5 years since then. Of course, I'd remarry. I asked Sophie to wait outside and approached them. But it's good that you came to visit. I really wanted to say something to you. I'm actually very grateful that you divorced me. Thanks to that, I met a wonderful person and even got to experience raising a child. Thank you for leaving me back then. I told them with a beaming smile. The look on George's face was so pale and comical as he opened and closed his mouth in shock. Seeing his face, I felt like I had cleared all the grievances of the past 5 years. Right after the divorce, my ex-mother-in-law had been bustling about trying to find a young woman willing to marry a middle-aged, overweight man. George, but she couldn't find anyone. Even if George had been younger, it would have been tough with such a mother-in-law. Despite asking acquaintances or joining mixers, there were no results. Their dream of a quick remarriage met with harsh reality. Then George's grandmother developed dementia. That's when my ex-mother-in-law must have thought, why not bring me back? Such foolish people. Why would they think I'd be happy after 5 years? I'm very happy now. Because I have a kind husband and a lovely 7-year-old daughter. I met my husband through Maggie's introduction and we started dating. We hit it off as both of us were divorced, and we eventually got married. I was worried about getting along with Sophie, but it's been almost 4 years since we remarried. We've truly built a normal parent-child relationship. There may be challenges ahead. But I will do anything to protect my daughter. Whether we're blood-related doesn't matter. Sophie is my daughter, after all.